Finding new and exciting games is quite difficult nowadays, with a lot of games focused on making money first and not making a good game, chasing trends and putting minimum effort for maximum profit. You have your 21st annual release of Call of Duty, your battle royales, your gambling sim hoyoverse gachas, your MOBAs, and yes, even your sports games. But it's rare that you find something that genuinely sticks out in the crowd, a game that feels special, like it was made for the love of the game, not for wringing every single dollar out of you. There is one game I love that has so much potential and so much love put into it, and I'm really sad to see its player count dwindling by the day. This game needs to be played before it potentially dies, and that game is Omega Strikers. First off, welcome to Omega Strikers. Secondly, what is Omega Strikers? Omega Strikers is a 3v3 twin-stick anime air hockey game with abilities and Smash Bros. Style KOs, or as the devs at Odyssey Interactive lovingly label it, it's a foot brawler. Have you ever watched those superpowered sports anime and wondered what it would be like to participate in one of those? Well, here's your chance. The goal of the game is simple. Hit the core into the opponent's goal. Best of 5 sets to win, and a set consists of 3 goals. To score a goal, you'll first need to open the opponent's goal gates. To do this, you'll need to strike the core into the opponent's goal barriers. Each arena has varying styles and shapes of goal barriers, with varying counts, usually between 1 to 2 barriers. Each arena can also contain a variety of walls, hazards, and bumpers, making each match and arena feel unique in how they are played and even who you decide to play as. As of recording, there are 21 unique characters to play from called Strikers, each with their own abilities and playstyles. All Strikers have a basic attack called a Strike. This cannot hit enemy Strikers, usually, and is used to strike the core. It has a fast cooldown but a quite short range, but the thing that makes this game really unique are its abilities. From rapid katana slashes to literal nukes. Each character has 3 abilities, their primary, their secondary, and their special. If you remember, I mentioned earlier that this game has a Smash Bros-like KO system, and that's where these abilities come into play. Damaging an opponent with your abilities slowly drains their HP or stagger meter. Once a striker's stagger meter becomes drained, they are staggered, and any hits they take have increased knockback. If they collide with the edges of the arena, they will be KO'd for a few seconds. Keep in mind you do not have to be staggered in order to be KO'd, so if you're at full HP and standing near the ledge, a solid hit can still kill you. You can also evade attacks from opponents by using some of your burst meter to become invincible for a few seconds, or until you take another action. This meter is also how you gain burst, or better known by the community as core flip, a powerful AoE that pushes nearby opponents away and halts the core, giving you exclusive control of it for as long as the elusive timer lasts or until you hit it. Upon striking the core during core flip, you will launch it significantly faster than a normal strike. This can be used offensively, defensively, or even to KO other players with the AoE blast when you get better. Not only are abilities a great way to damage and KO players, abilities can also affect the core, meaning they are multi-purpose tools to challenge, snipe, or stuff the core into the opponent's goal. Some Strikers' entire kits are even based around this idea. I main Mako. Her kit is really fun as she can poke with her primary or tap it to swing her bat, helping her win strike wars. Her secondary buffs teammates with size and haste while holding it, and releasing it gives her an AoE strike. And her special creates a triangle-shaped barrier that locks opponents in place and bounces them around if they touch a wall. I also just really love her design. In Omega Strikers, there are 2 roles you can play as: goalie and forward. There's also flex Q, which will just throw you into either role. Goalie is pretty easy to understand at a basic level. You stay near your goal and help clear the core from the opposing forwards. It's your job to assist your team in maneuvering the core and helping pressure the enemy team when you have advantage. While seemingly simple, goalie has a lot of depth and requires a lot of knowledge of not only your own strikers, but the ability of your opponents. I personally main goalie as I've always found it a more fun role, even if it can be quite stressful at times. Like when you have less experienced forwards, you'll likely have your work cut out for you, especially when these 3 will want you dead at every opportunity. As a goalie, you'll rarely see yourself scoring goals, meaning more often than not, you'll have to rely on your other two teammates, those being your forwards. Forwards are going to be in the thick of it more often than not, winning strike wars and brawling, fighting for control over the core. Positioning is very important as a forward, as you want to deny the opposing forwards from getting free passes, as well as leaving yourself open for passes and plays from your other forward or your goalie. Knowing when to pull back and help your goalie is also really important. But please, for the love of God, do not smother your goalie. If you love the idea of being a scorer for the team or just want to brawl and get into more fights, I'd recommend the forward role. Just remember, this isn't blue lock. You need to pass and work together as a team. Just please try your best to be a good teammate regardless of your role. With each striker having a general playstyle, you'd assume a striker would either be a goalie class or a forward class. But thankfully you can actually play any striker in either role of your choosing. Sure, some strikers will be better at being a goalie than a forward, but if you love a character enough, you can either build them to fit the role you selected, or just get enough practice that it doesn't matter. You'll see many Atlas and Dubu forwards, and it's always a treat to watch when it happens. Same with Zendara or Juliet goalies. Now I'm sure you're probably wondering, why not just have 3 goalies or 3 forwards? And that's because on top of them just being roles you queue for, you also have gear. Goalies and forwards have their own specific gear to choose from based on the role they queued for. This gear is supposed to not only encourage you to play your role, but also assist you best in performing your tasks. For goalies, your gear effects can only be active on your half of the arena, again, to prevent you from just leaving the goal and having 3 forwards. You have Strike Shot, which lets you shoot a little projectile with your basic strike, allowing less mobile goalies to have a constant ranged option with a cooldown. It also buffs the range of any projectiles you have. This is one of my favorites, and you will likely see me running it in most of the footage. And next, probably the most fun and complex gear in the game, you have Eject Button. Upon using a movement ability, you will leave a beacon for a short few seconds. Reactivating that ability will teleport you back to that beacon, allowing for very aggressive and wild playstyles that you normally could not safely do. It also enhances the range and potency of hastes, dashes, and blinks. One of my lesser picked goalie gears is Momentum Boots. It gives you a base increase in speed and a slowly stacking increase in speed the longer you go without being hit, up to a total speed increase of 15%, which resets upon being hit. And finally, Powerhouse Pauldrons, simply increasing your size, power, and giving you 20% damage reduction. Size also affects your strike size, allowing for easier control of the core and giving melee abilities a bigger hitbox. For forward gear, you have Slick Kicks, which gives you a brief speed boost for each time you kick the core, Pummelers, which gives you more knockback and increases your speed upon KOing an opponent, Vicious Vambraces, a lifesteal that heals you upon doing damage either to players or the core, Magnetic Souls, which gives you haste effect when crossing the midfield, and Siphoning Wand, a scaling damage over time based on a percentage of max stagger the opponent has. It also heals you for the amount of damage the dot does. Each and every gear has its own uses and reasons for being picked, be it the arena, the opponents, or even your own choice of striker. On top of gear being in the game, it also has something known as Awakenings. Awakenings are best described as a roguelike feature. Upon completing each set in a match, the Awakening draft begins. This is where everyone will choose a buff for their character known as Awakenings, from longer range projectiles and blinks to added charges to your primary or secondary, to a literal blue lock reference that gives you a speed boost to help you score goals when your burst meter is maxed out. Awakenings are where your character can really shine and be fleshed out to their strengths. The draft is also randomly selected each set from the pool of several Awakenings in rotation, so no 2 games ever really feel the same. But how does drafting work? The drafting order is determined by the player that gained the most XP and is the highest level in that set, becoming the MVP. The MVP will always get first pick in the Awakening draft, and then will go in order of XP earned that set. There's usually at least one Awakening that will always be very helpful to you or your team. However, if you notice the opponent has an item that will make them really strong, or they need for their build, you can consider stealing it to prevent them from getting a key Awakening they might need. While we're on the topic of MVP, not only do you get first pick during the draft, but also, and I would argue just as exciting, your striker-specific theme song will be playing for the entire draft and following sets until a new MVP is chosen. It adds this extra level of hype that I cannot describe in any other way than anime power-up moment. This game has an amazing soundtrack, and each song feels tailor-made for their strikers. Here's some of my favorite MVP themes. Please give the soundtrack a listen because it's so damn good. On top of the game having a normal mode, it also has a ranked mode with a pick and ban phase and not allowing mirror matches. Sadly, I only recently started to care about my rank because I genuinely wanted to improve, so I'm currently at high bronze. Even with the game seeming very competitive, it also has a quick play casual mode that gives everyone preset awakenings and is the first to 5 goals to win. It's a great way to enjoy the game casually or teach awakenings in a casual format with friends. If you can, I would highly recommend watching a guide or asking someone you know who plays the game to help you learn it, as solo queue is quite the experience, and being spammed with free cat or rune stare emotes can be quite demoralizing. Leavers are also a bit of a problem, but thankfully they've added the ability to forfeit if a match is going particularly bad, as long as your AFK teammate decides to forfeit. Just try your best to do what you can and mute the opposing team if you think BM could negatively affect you. Also, Odyssey, please add a button to mute your team and or the opponent's team on console. It's dreadfully slow to move my cursor to each little mute icon and click them. Sadly, it was announced earlier last year that Omega Strikers would be ceasing development on new strikers, skins, and content for the game as a whole, which genuinely pains me. Sadly, the player counts were falling, and with the lack of reason to continually keep everyone but the biggest diehards from staying, a lot of people left. And with the announcement of no more content, even more people decided to leave, seeing the game as dead. Unfortunately, myself included. I have come back in recent weeks to enjoy the last few strikers they've added, and I can say I'm still thoroughly enjoying my time with the game. They tried their best with constantly adding new strikers, new arenas, having fun events, and giving away rewards for participating in them. Some events even had visual novels with them. They also had the Creator Versus event, which let teams rep their favorite content creator in a contest to get the most wins. I actually discovered Omega Strikers from this event, through a YouTuber I watched named Beat-em-Ups. Sadly, a lot of characters could have used more skins and cosmetics to keep people more interested. As dumb as that sounds, I love this game, and if I could, I would have absolutely bought more cosmetics to support this game. I would have taken simple recolors for each character to help, honestly. Most of the newer strikers have no cosmetics whatsoever, and it's a real shame, including my main. Please give her something. As I'm a PlayStation player, anyone with PS Plus, the online membership, gained access to all current and future strikers for free, without having to buy them with credits or paid currency. Strikers were also very cheap. I had enough credits saved up to buy the next 4 strikers by the time Vice and Octavia released. And I wonder if they could have earned a bit more money if strikers were a bit more expensive. The game also has a battle pass system, which is very, very forgiving in terms of time to complete. And to this day, the last pass they made is still available to get. Each pass contains skins, emotes, titles, banners, and scoring goal effects. A lot of them were really well made and I would have loved to see more of them. Despite being emotes, some of the most fun items in the game are actually emotes. You can select up to 5 emotes at any one time, ranging from funny, BMing, or just straight up weird. I like to mostly have wholesome emotes and funny emotes. I personally refuse to buy or use BM emotes, such as the free cat or the rune stare emote, outside of memes that I've made. On top of strikers having cosmetics and emotes, each striker also has a mastery level known in this game as Affinity. The more you play a striker, the more rewards you unlock in their infinity tree, like titles, banners, and even a glowing portrait and unique lobby pose. Sadly, I wish they fleshed the system out more and did more with it, like showing your stats with that striker. Maybe after reaching max affinity, rank it as some sort of prestige system that showed your dedication to that striker with titles or banners or effects. Like this little mock-up I've made. Just give players something to work towards and to show their dedication to their favorite strikers. I know they recently started doing gold versions of strikers for reaching gold and ranked, and I would have loved to instead see something similar for the affinity system. I would also love to see some way to party up or add people post-match. There's been many matches where you just gelled with your team and adding them or requesting them to party up is a pain. It makes me sad to see another game I love be at risk of dying. Thankfully, the dedicated player base is very passionate, and new people are coming and going all the time. The Discord is very active and filled with many kind people more than willing to help you learn and discuss the game. If you can, get some friends and play this game together. You won't regret it. Or make some friends in the Discord server. I love this game, and if you want to join my Discord server or play with me, I'd love to. Omega Strikers has a massive learning curve, and I won't pretend that everyone will love it, but if you stick with it, you'll find a rewarding experience unlike any other game, and feel some of the most hype moments and memories in gaming. The community is so lively and creative, both in terms of art and videos. I even personally created a channel for Omega Strikers highlights called Omega Strikers TV, and it was just so fun to see so many people loving a game as much as I did. I know they're currently prototyping a new platform fighter battle royale named Bitebreakers, and I hope they can find a space in the gaming sphere. Omega Strikers deserves to be played, and I can only hope that maybe someday Adi will return to it. If you have not, I implore you, please play Omega Strikers. It's on these platforms. And online membership for consoles are not even required to play it. In fact, if you have PS Plus, all Strikers are unlocked for free. Until next time, good luck, have fun, play better, win more. I'll see you out there on the field, Strikers.